Good evening, morning, afternoon, freaks and geeks. This is Rouge, and today we're rating all Monster Sanctuary monsters. I know it's more of a rating or a reviewing than rating, but rating it kind of flows off the tongue a little better, and it's just I don't know. It's what my mind comes to when I go and describe what I'm doing. So it's just going to be a rating all right. Pointing at my mic, pointing at my cam. Got it. All right. So I'm still working on my Digimon section, but that is going to take a long time. Do you mind, Velvet? So, while I'm putting together the Digimon one, I am going to do the other ones that aren't so involved. And today is Monster Sanctuary. Now, if you don't know what Monster Sanctuary is, it's kind of like an indie title done by Team 17 something. Anyway, basically, it's a side-scroller monster tamer that has, like, Metroid mechanics in it. Like, at one point you'll get, like, double jump, where you can go across far places. There's some monsters that allow you to swim. Some monsters that break down walls. Stuff like that. And my setup's going to be very confusing to those that actually pay attention. Yeah, we keep moving stuff around, and I am still behind in some of my recordings. So, there is that. So, also, I'm going to be having these PDFs on my Discord. So if you like to just browse through them whenever, go for it. If you want to snag some screenshots from any of them, I suppose that's fine, because I personally don't own the art, but you, as long as you credit the original, like, game artist. And sometimes I pull these images from websites. So if I mention a website in the PDF, please mention that in whatever it is that you're doing. Alright, are we good? Alright. Oh, and also, I'm going to do this one a little differently than before, because I can scroll down, because there's no, like, paths or anything I need to do for this, so you won't be able to see my beautiful, beautiful face as much. Which might be a good thing, because behind me is a bit messy. So, what I find interesting about the game, they have 4 elements. Yeah, just 4, including, like, alongside a null element. But in this game, they don't exactly label them. They just have the weaknesses and the resistances of the attacks. So, I've done my best to label each one with their particular element. Also, if you see here, I got the sprite from the catalog book itself, and then the sprite that you see out in, like, the game. And I do know that there's, like, a second, that they mentioned, like, a second game, but they're working on a brand new game first, which I'm all for. So I'll just do a review when those come out. I also find it interesting that their starters, quote unquote, you can choose between 4 of them. My 2 favorites is like the Spectral Lion and the Spectral Toad. The Toad is kind of interesting, I must say. So, continuing on, of course, you got the Blob, Magma Pillar, Rocky and Vero. Reason why I go past those quickly is because they're like the early mobs, and eventually you can evolve all of those. Yes, there is evolutions in here. Done completely different, and I actually like the difference. It doesn't have to be a Pokemon, like, exact clone. In fact, this is far from Pokemon in my opinion. So anyway, they're pretty decent early monsters. Get you learning the game, and if you continue to train them without evolving them, they'll still have like pretty good movesets. Also, you're going to notice sometimes I will have a different colored sprite than in the book, like down here at the Steam Golem and the Monk. That's because I took screenshots directly from the game. I did a type shift, because you can turn them into a light or a dark variant, and they'll get like altered stats, and some of them will get like special like ability. Like some of them can equip 2 weapons instead of 1, and yeah, there's equipment in this game too, I forgot to mention. So anyway, like both the Steam Golem and the Monk are dark types. A lot of these guys are going to be dark types. So, I started the game. It wasn't like... Was it still in the alpha? Or beta? Or open? Whatever? I don't know. I can't remember when exactly it was that I started. But, they didn't have all of the levels yet when I started. In fact, they didn't even have the light and dark variants, now I think of it. But anyway, what I'm trying to get at is that Steam Golem was your first champion monster, which is like supposed to be like a harder battle. And you don't get them normally until later on, unless you go and fight the battle again, which I could have. I didn't know at the time that I could rebattle the champion battles and possibly get their eggs, which is what a lot of them you have to do. So just like before, I'm not going to try to talk about every single one of them. But let's point out that Tengu real quick with its friggin' long nose. I know that the spirit in the Mythos culture has a long nose to begin with. But the way it bounces in the game is just really creepy to me. Anyway. And of course, yes, let's all laugh at the mushroom looking phallic. Because that actually does really look phallic for some reason. I don't know, they should have just protruded the feet out a little bit more. I don't know why I'm thinking that. Anyway, they made the Will-O-Wisp kind of like a frost. They call it frosty, and they made it an ice instead of like fire, which is very interesting to me. Also, I couldn't quite pinpoint the Minotaur's typing. So I just went with like its weakness and resistance, and it was like resistant to, I think it was grass, the earth element. So I had to go with that. For the Spectre, you meet him early on as a champion monster, but then you find him very late in the game as a normal monster, which, in my opinion, kind of frustrated me. But then I'm a like a 100% like collector, so I guess I was just impatient. The Garulu is pretty much the first monster you come across that you can evolve before you can evolve them, which is really weird to me. But I have to say my favorite kinds are, well, besides the dinosaurs, are the occult ones. Like the Mad Eye was pretty cool. I like the Monk and the Crackle Knight. But that was mainly due to the point where I was hard pressed to replace them. It's like every time I got a new monster and I'm like, oh, I'm going to try this instead of this one. It's like, I'm going to switch back. Although I know that a lot of people have their own I can't think of the word, but I've seen a lot of people saying the Dark Nightwing is overpowered and broken. But I couldn't see that personally, so I didn't use it. I was thinking maybe putting down, like, the type of outside moves they use. Like wall breaking or, like, obstacle making, flight, whatever. But I decided, not really that necessary. When I got to, I believe it was called the High Plains, there was the Magma Moth. I was like, oh, I know what that evolves from. And then it's like they had the Gerudo. I thought that was the evolution of the Rocky, because I wasn't getting, like, the eggs. But I got the Gerudo egg. I was like, this looks like Rocky. I mean, once you look at it, it looks like Rocky had a plant growing out of its head. And it was a rock. And using Pokemon logic, it looked like it could evolve into a Gerudo. And then maybe even having, like, another evolution where it's an actual, like, giant tree. That would have been cool. But, anyway, found my goblins, which the best healer I've had, like, throughout the whole game is the Goblin Warlock. It took me forever to get the Goblin King. Because I thought it said that, there was, like, an item that the Goblin King drops that I could use to evolve one of the other goblins. But apparently it was the Slime King that was what was going on, so I do not know. The Verduga and the Tanuki that's going to come up a little later are the only ones that have, like, a element shifting, and it's based on the attacks they use. I find that to be massively interesting. I was super stoked when I found the Aurum tail and was able to ride it. Because it's like in Monster Tamers, I feel like you should be able to ride certain monsters. You know, like the wolves, the lions, the women, what have you. I was disappointed with the Megator because the Minotaur had a huge axe with it, and now the Megator is just a buff Minotaur. But get it? Mini? Mega? The occult, look at that. That is just, it's a whale with legs. Almost reminds me of the one mob in Impossible Creatures, where it was like this whale that came up and started attacking my outpost. A lot. Ow, Shadow. The designs were interesting, but just like in Pokemon, I was rocking really hard with the team that I had, so I was like, "Yay, got the egg! That's a addition to my Pokedex." But at least in this game, they added ability outside of battle that you can use. So it's like certain ones you need to like light up certain orbs for puzzles, or breaking down secret walls, or removing vines, or riding. But the Psycho Phantom being the first non like actual element, he was actually kind of cool, especially when you could turn invisible and avoid monster battles. That was a very good addition. And you have another mountain, which is a unicorn, which the light version is Rainbow Dash. That's why I changed it to that. The koi is the first swimmer that you find, and you get that from completing the storyline quest. And it pretty much, doing that locks off the bay area, which you technically only really need to get to after the certain point in the storyline. So I just can't imagine swimming on a huge ass koi, mainly because my fat ass body's going to like drown it. Not really much to say for these guys, besides getting down to like the water ones. Some of them has like the better swimming, where you can go past the strong currents. And then there's Elder which is a freaking amazing monster, and I love it. It looks like a brain. What can you do? What else can you say about it? So when I found the goblin miner, I was like, wait, there's another goblin? And then it does shields. So that quickly replaced my shielding monster. And the Saddlehammer is pretty good too. It's just with the doing a goblin theme team just really increased their damage output. And I also have to say, finding the blob area was a really nice touch. That was a lot of fun. Having a Eevee-like dragon in the game, where it's like it evolves into like the only monster that evolves into different forms, each being its own kind of element, was pretty interesting to me. I was not expecting that kind of thing, mainly because they only had one dragon to begin with. But it's like you defeat the particular dragon and it has a chance of dropping its evolution item. I didn't find Scorch or Asura to be useful much. Even though one is a champion and one is like a gift. It just seemed a little strange to me how... I don't want to say weak because I know a lot of people use Asura. But once again, it's like I had the monk. And the monk with its like 3 different elemental punches was just freaking fantastic. It's like I had coverage up the ass. And then there's these 3. Oh, I thought the Pulterofen was a evolution of the Steam Golem, because it's like it's a furnace. And when will freaking Pokemon do a furnace? They have a furnace monster in Monster Sanctuary. They have a furnace monster in Draconius Go. Why not Pokemon? Oh wait, they kinda do, but it's more of like a coal, like a really old school coal furnace. Not like the metal kind that's here. Anyway. They had a freaking Mimic in the game, and that was just amazing. It's like, oh, there's like 3 treasure chests sitting here. Interesting. I'm gonna go get them. And then they attack me. I'm like, oh god, they're Mimics. And let's talk about the Target real quick and how it has a target on its chest. But then instead of using its horns to attack, it uses its freaking chest target and just rams right into the enemies. And look at the confidence of this little fucker. He knows that you're going to try to like aim for the target, and he's like, haha, this isn't a target, it's actually armor. I love it. So moving on to the monsters that are in like the old world, I think they said it was. The Oraculich was pretty freaking interesting. Him and the Argibrol gave you this ability where it's like you can swing on grapples. And that was like a cool level scaling mechanic. I find it interesting. They named the Frankenstein monster Promethean. The reason why I find that to be interesting is because when I was making my own like Frankenstein monster for my game, I was looking up like what to actually call it because I didn't want to call it Frankenstein. And my friend Alan was like, you know, I've heard like the old books calling it the Prometheus. And I was like, Prometheus? He's like, yeah, as in like the first human. So I looked it up, and yeah, he was right. The monster is actually called Prometheus. I found that to be interesting, and so I used it. And then these popped up, and I was like, is this like a Frankenstein cyborg monster? It's like Promethean. I'm like, that's interesting. I love it. And then the epic battle with the spinner. That was fun. I actually thought I was chasing down a uh, alchemist, but it turned out to be kind of like a doppelganger type deal. I know a lot of people call him Slender, but it's not. They only say that because of the little back appendages. But he's more of a spider than Slender Man. And let's talk about that Setsune real quick. Just like with the Oraculich, I found her special thing to be quite useful. And it's like pretty much the two of them combined. I can destroy people with bleeding and frozen. Because they break those statuses. Because frozen only makes it so that your MP doesn't regenerate as much each turn, and bleeding wears off every turn. But with her, the bleeding stays, and you can just keep stacking it, and it'll just keep doing the DOT damage. And with the Oraculich, he'll make the freeze ability or status. He'll make that a DOT as well. So it's like you got two broken DOTs going on at the same time, while you're just relentlessly beating up on the person. And I use that a lot during the repeat boss battles to get the 3 stars, to get the eggs. Really good. And then finding the blob world, and then running to the rainbow blobs and the changelings and the king blob. That was interesting, but what really surprised me were the worms. Yeah, I didn't know they were able to put worms in their game and not be sued for copyright infringement. That's interesting to me. And they are a pretty good monster, by the way. I just didn't really use them. But damn, that was a surprise and a half. And then a lot of these are like champion monsters. The actual like boss to the game is the Mad Lord. Spoilers. But he actually evolves from the Mad Eye. You get like, I forgot what it was when you beat him. But it's like when you get him and you got like all the other monsters, it's like almost pointless. Which is why I'm glad they added those things. The statue things. And then with the introduction to the Lost World, that was like a free expansion, they really added a lot of really cool monsters, like the dinosaurs. And the fact that you can ride them and smash through breakable walls was my favorite part of the entire game. I thoroughly enjoyed that. And then having a tar blob, that was just ingenious. And I also like the Dracomir and the Terradrill. Those were fun bosses to fight and actual useful like monsters to use in battle. The bard was mainly there to like open up the secret like musical doors. So that was my review. Sometimes I feel like I kind of braze over it, but my consensus of the whole thing is they're just really, really well done. I have very, very little negative things to say about this game. And the monsters. Yeah. I'm actually trying to, like, dig deep. But I had very little to complain about this game. I just suggest you don't play it with the keyboard. Because I came across a problem where it's like you're pushing over and then you double jump and then you go to hit the button to grab onto one of your flying monsters and fly. The keyboard will be like, nope, too much, I'm done. I suggest playing it with a controller. And you'll rarely hear me say this because I'm really good with like the keyboard and mouse in a lot of games. But with a lot of side-scrollers like this, I guess the controller works very well. Yeah, a part of me wants the champion monsters to drop the eggs a little easier, but that's just because I'm impatient. So it's like what you can take from that is that it's a decent challenge with a good reward. And yeah, that's all I got. I have the series where I'm playing the game all the way through. It's still being uploaded at the date of the recording of this video. So go ahead and check that out if you would like to see the game in action. I really, really do suggest this game if you enjoy Monster Tamers. Because the strategy in the game is just fantastic. They say that it's Pokemon. They say that it's Pokemon meets Metroidvania. I would like to respectfully disagree with that. It's more of like Pokemon meets Final Fantasy with the side scroller. So, let me know what you think. Which monster was your favorite monster? Mine, of course, is I'm pretty sure the Triceratops dinosaur. But then my goblin team is just destructive, so but I would have to say the dinosaur. I love riding around on it. Click on whichever thumb you think is appropriate for this video. Subscribe if you like to see some of the other Monster Tamer rating videos that I have planned in the future, or Let's Plays that I'm doing. Go ahead and join my Discord. I'm going to be uploading these PDFs there. And go ahead and suggest other Monster Tamer games that I can do a small review on. And until next time, stay white and nerdy.